Failure at some point in your life is inevitable, but giving up is unforgivable. We are America second to none, and we own the finish line. Don't forget it. Corruption is a cancer that eats away at a citizen's faith in democracy. The greatest gift is the ability to forget the bad things and focus on the good. Folks, I can tell you I've known 8 presidents, 3 of them intimately. We didn't crumble after 9/11. We didn't falter after the Boston Marathon. But we're America. Americans will never, ever stand down. For too long in this society, we have celebrated unrestrained individualism over common community. I used to stutter really badly. Everybody thinks it's funny, and it's not funny. It's not. Fighting corruption is not just good governance. It's self-defense. It's patriotism. Given a fair shot, given a fair chance, Americans have never, ever, ever, ever let their country down. If you need more than 10 rounds to hunt, you shouldn't be hunting. You are an embarrassment. My dad always said, "Champ, the measure of a man is not how often he is knocked down, but how quickly he gets up." Innovation can only occur where you can breathe free. We must rekindle the fire of idealism in our society. No fundamental social change occurs merely because government acts. It's because civil society begins to rise up and demand change. Our future cannot depend on the government alone. The ultimate solutions lie in the attitudes and the actions of the American people. The 21st century is going to be the American century. The effects of climate change are real and must be acted on. The Middle East is hopeful. There's hope there. We don't want two-tier people in America. Those who are legal, but not citizens, and citizens. Look, freedom is an overwhelming American notion. The idea that we want to see the world free is something that all of us subscribe to. The devastating punch we took on September 11th still reverberates throughout American society. Reality has a way of intruding. Reality eventually intrudes on everything. You never make fun of anybody with a clubfoot or a withered arm, but it's open season on anybody who stutters. Barack Obama is probably the most exciting candidate that either the Democratic or Republican Party has produced, at least since I've been around. No one ever doubts that I mean what I say. The problem is, I sometimes say all that I mean. Look, folks, we know who built this country, and we know who's going to rebuild it. It's you. My dad used to have an expression. It is the lucky person who gets up in the morning, puts both feet on the floor, knows what they're about to do, and thinks it still matters. On the way back from Mumbai to go meet with President Xi in China, I stopped in Singapore to meet with a guy named Lee Kuan Yew. In my heart, I'm confident I could make a good president. Foreign policy is like human relations, only people know less about each other. This nuclear option is ultimately an example of the arrogance of power. Corruption is just another form of tyranny. When we wrote the Constitution, the intention was to give the commander-in-chief the authority how to use the forces when you authorize him to be able to use the forces. The White House isn't the place to learn how to deal with international crisis, the balance of power, war, and peace, and the economic future of the next generation. We must rekindle the fire of idealism in our society. For too long in this society, we have celebrated unrestrained individualism over common community. Innovation can only occur where you can breathe free. Barack Obama is probably the most exciting candidate that either the Democratic or Republican Party has produced, at least since I've been around. He's fresh, he's new, he's insightful. No one ever doubts that I mean what I say. The problem is, I sometimes say all that I mean. Democracy doesn't happen by accident. We have to defend it, fight for it, strengthen it, renew it. Don't tell me what you value, show me your budget, and I'll tell you what you value. I am a Zionist. You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. I do not believe that we have a right to tell other people, women, that they can't control their bodies. I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid. I mean, you got the first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook man. Candor generates trust. Trust is the basis on which real change, constructive change, is made. Guess what? The cheerleaders in college are the best athletes in college. You think I'm joking? They're almost all gymnasts. The stuff they do on hardwood, it blows my mind. I always wonder when it was that I was embraced. I can die a happy man, never having been President of the United States of America, but it doesn't mean I won't run. I consider myself to be as informed on American foreign policy as anyone in America. I don't say very much. I don't really think through. I know that sounds inconsistent with Joe Biden. I got tested for AIDS. I know Barack got tested for AIDS. There's no shame in being tested for AIDS. It's an important thing. I know what I believe. I know what I want to do. And I'm just comfortable saying it and laying it out there. If I don't run for president, we'll all be okay. Except for the title Father, there is no title, including Vice President, that I am more proud to wear than that of United States Senator. We are America, second to none, and we own the finish line. Don't forget it. We didn't crumble after September 11th. We didn't falter after the Boston Marathon, but we're America. Americans will never, ever stand down. We endure, we overcome, we own the finish line. If you need more than 10 rounds to hunt, and some argue they hunt with that many rounds, you shouldn't be hunting. If you can't get the deer in 3 shots, you shouldn't be hunting. You are an embarrassment. On the way back from Mumbai to go meet with President Xi in China, I stopped in Singapore to meet with a guy named Lee Kuan Yew, who most foreign policy experts around the world say is the wisest man in the Orient. Reality has a way of intruding. Reality eventually intrudes on everything. You never make fun of anybody with a clubfoot or a withered arm, but it's open season on anybody who stutters. In the good old days when I was a senator, I was my own man. I have Parents Magazine in my home. I graduated from the University of Delaware with a double major in history and political science. I was kind of secretly hoping one of my kids would go out and make $1 million. So when they put me in a home, at least I'll have a window with a view. When my first semester grades came out, my mom and dad told me I wouldn't be playing football. You got to reach a hand of friendship across the aisle and across philosophies in this country. We're going to be okay because of the American people. They have more grit, determination, and courage than you can imagine. This is absolutely bizarre that we continue to subsidize highways beyond the gasoline tax, airlines, and we don't want to subsidize a national rail system that has environmental impact. There is no inherent power in the office of the vice presidency. Zero, none. It's all a reflection of your relationship with the president. I mean, Kennedy never let Johnson in the office. Quite frankly, Russian aggression in Ukraine and its illegal occupation of Crimea remind us that we still have a good deal more work to do to guarantee the strategic vision of a Europe whole, free, and at peace. The Chinese have figured out that they have a giant environmental problem. Folks in Beijing some days literally can't breathe. Over 1 million Chinese die prematurely every year because of air pollution. The 21st century is going to be the American century because we lead not only by the example of our power, but by the power of our example. That is the history of the journey of America. Our future cannot depend on the government alone. The ultimate solutions lie in the attitudes and the actions of the American people.